With the rising popularity of saddle hunting, there's a ton of people exploring getting into the saddle hunting game. If this is you and you're trying to weigh out the pros and the cons and figure out if you should pull the trigger on buying a saddle system, I'm here to help. I have over 5 years of saddle hunting experience, and I'm gonna run through both the pros and the cons as unbiased as possible. And my only ask to you is that you like this video. It helps support my channel tremendously at no cost to you. We'll start off with the pros, and the first one is pretty obvious, and that's mobility. Whether you're somebody who's exclusively used preset tree stands and ladder stands, or you've used climber stands, or even a lightweight tree stand and sticks, the mobility of a saddle is unmatched in my opinion. It essentially allows you to set up whenever you want, wherever you want, and gives you a lot of flexibility as far as what type of trees you can get in, unlike a climber stand. The second pro is how lightweight it is. This is all of my gear right here that I need to climb a tree and hunt. I have my saddle, my sticks, and my platform, and all together they come in right about 10 pounds. And if you compare that to most climber stands like the Summit Viper, one of the most popular climber stands in history, it's right around 20 pounds. Some get up even to 30 pounds. There are some lighter weight ones. Or if you compare it to some of the lighter weight tree stands, there are tiny tree stands that weigh 7-8 pounds. But a lot of tree stands, even the lighter weight ones, are right around 10 or 12 pounds, and that's just the stand itself. So just the stand is gonna weigh as much as my sticks, platform, and saddle, and that's going to allow me to hunt anywhere I want, all across the country, whenever I want. The next pro is having a low profile. I would wear my saddle in as I hike in to hunt, and then my sticks and my platform are gonna stack really nice on my backpack, and as you can see, they don't extend past my shoulders or wider than my hips. And what that's gonna allow me to do is hike into my spot without risking catching on brush, catching on branches, making noise, leaving ground scent, and be a lot more stealthy heading into my spot. The next big benefit of a saddle is how quiet it is. And this is the Method 2 by Latitude Outdoors, and it is completely metal free. There's no metal buckles that are gonna be jingling and hitting each other. And then the sticks I'm running are the carbon sticks from Latitude, and they are stealth stripped, but these things are dead silent. So between the low profile, you're gonna be able to get in without catching on branches and giving yourself away, and then actually get up in the tree as quiet as possible. The next pro is super underrated, and that is safety. I've never felt more safe than when I started saddle hunting, because you are connected to the tree from the time you are on the ground all the way up, and you don't disconnect from the tree until you're back on the ground. As you ascend, you use a lineman belt, and that gives you hands-free operation of your climbing sticks and helps you be able to set up. And then when you're at hunting height, you hook into a tether, and it's going to support all of your weight, and then you reverse that, and you don't unhook until you get back down on the ground. A lot of us have families. A lot of us have spouses and kids. Make sure you come home intact every single time you go hunting. Shooting big bucks is cool, but being able to walk and being alive is a lot more cool than shooting big bucks. And unless you're hunting from the ground, there is no safer way to hunt from an elevated position than saddle hunting. The last big pro that I'll touch on is long-term cost savings, and there's an inherent cost to getting into saddle hunting. There's a barrier of entry there, but once you get into it, you're actually gonna save money in the long run, and I'll explain how. When I got serious about deer hunting, I'd go to Menards at their end of the year clearance sales and buy all of their tree stands and sticks, and I would scatter them all across the private land that I had access to hunt. But what was a pain was how heavy they are, assembling them in the first place, and then adjusting them as deer patterns change throughout the season. But what I also started doing is hunting more public land, traveling to hunt, and this saddle setup right here has allowed me to travel all over the country with one single setup. Transitioning from that last point, the first con is cost. And for most setups, a climbing method, a saddle platform, and the saddle itself with all the ropes, it's gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000. And that's a lot of money. I'm not gonna discount that, but there are cheaper ways to get into saddle hunting. You can't save up and pony up and buy it all at once. I would be looking secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. Just like bows, a lot of people upgrade their saddle gear every single year because they want the newest and shiniest object out there. So they sell their lightly used saddle gear from the last season, and you can get it at a low cost. The next big con, and the thing that I think prevents most people from getting into saddle hunting, is the learning curve. It just seems complicated. People get overwhelmed with all the different gear, the different steps, how to set up. There's ropes involved. How the heck do you use this thing? And I've made a video to break all of that down into layman's terms and explain things in a way that makes sense if you've never saddle hunted before. So if you're interested in that, I'll link it somewhere up here. If you can get past the initial roadblock and at least learn the basics, I think it'll make a lot more sense to you. On a similar note, the next con is that hunting from a tree saddle is a little less intuitive than a tree stand. Most of us grew up hunting out of tree stands, so sitting in one, shooting out of one, it's a little bit more natural. But with repetition and practice, figuring out how to shoot from a saddle, figuring out how to set up in a saddle, whether you're sitting or leaning, different positions you can rest in, it's gonna be a lot more natural for you. And I think if you can get past that initial roadblock of just not knowing what the heck you're doing, you're really gonna like it. The next con is initial discomfort. And I say initial discomfort because there are a lot of ways to adjust your saddle to make it more comfortable. A lot of people complain about hip pinch in the beginning or just pressure around their hips, but you can adjust things like where your bridge connects to your bridge loops, how long your bridge is, your tether height. All these things change how comfortable you are. And once you fine tune things and get them right for your body type, it's gonna allow you to sit all day long. I do a lot of all day sits in the saddle where I don't climb down a single time from dark to dark, and I have comfort all day long. The con that gets me in trouble sometimes, and I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, is the potential for more movement. I definitely find myself moving a little bit more than I would if I was sitting in a tree stand, but that can also be a benefit, having the ability to pivot around the tree to get additional shot angles that you might not get from a tree stand. Last but not least is shooting the weak side, and in a saddle you're facing the tree and you're connected by a tether. Your weak side is anything from probably noon to 4 or 5 o'clock, and there's a couple different ways to shoot that weak side. Personally, what I do is I just go up and over with my bow, over my tether, and I rotate my hips, and I'm able to shoot that. And I've shot a couple deer that way. Some people will work all the way around the back side of the tree, and then some people will actually spin around on their platform like they're shooting out of a tree stand and shoot that. I don't think it's that big of an issue. It is a little bit more complicated than shooting your strong side, there's no doubt about that, but I think the same would be true in a tree stand. I think there's shots that are more difficult than others. If you're in a tree stand and a deer is directly behind you, I don't know that you'd be able to lean out while you're standing on your tree stand and get a shot at those deer. So I think there's some risk no matter what method you're hunting from as far as being able to get a shot, but that is something that a lot of people talk about. Everybody has different hunting styles and preferences, so whether you get into the saddle hunting game is completely up to you, but don't let ignorance be the reason you don't try it out. If there's things you don't understand or if you still have questions, reach out to me directly or drop me a comment down below. The last thing I'll say about all this is that saddle hunting does not have to be all or nothing. On private land, I still have preset stands that I hunt from that I know are going to be good every single year, but saddle hunting allows me to pivot and adjust to deer patterns as I observe them on the fly. Make sure you're subscribed to see more videos just like this one, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.